The 7th edition of Talkin' Tar Heels starts right now. Hello, everybody. Welcome in to another edition of Talkin' Tar Heels. We got a fun episode up ahead for you guys today. We're going to be breaking down the offense. We're going to be looking at each of the position groups, and I'm going to give you guys my production predictions for this season, and then assess the unit as a whole. So let's just dive straight into this thing. We've got the QBs, and obviously I did an episode on the quarterback battle. Let's just recap it real quick. You have Texas A&M transfer Max Johnson and Connor Harrell battling it out for the starting job. Jacoby Criswell is also in this battle, according to Mac Brown, although these two obviously are the ones that are going to be the prime contenders for it in Johnson and Harrell, and they bring two completely different things to the table. Johnson is a left-handed pocket passer, where Harrell is more of a dual threat. I feel like Harrell could really stretch the field a little bit more than Johnson with that running ability. It would add a completely different dynamic to the offense. However, for the sake of this episode, we're going to go with the most likely scenario and base our production predictions off of, off of that. So, who I think will win the battle is Max Johnson. I think his experience in the SEC is going to be what enables him to perform well through the coaches' tests and eventually win the job. And I also think because of that he will have the best production. And my projected stat line for the QBs is going to be a 62% completion percentage, 3,500 yards roughly, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Not overwhelming numbers, nowhere near what we've been used to with Drake May and Sam Howell, but still a solid line for these QBs. I do think Connor Harrell will see the field. I think, especially in places where they can use his dual threat ability, he will see the field, but it's not going to be starting. I think Max Johnson ends up starting the entire season. And if you watched my quarterback episode, you would know that that's a change from what I thought. I thought Harrell would have a good shot, but just based off of what I've seen with different articles that I've read, it does feel like Max Johnson is going to be the starter week one for the Tar Heels. Let's move to the running back room. And running back is where Carolina is basically all set. They've got Amarian Hampton returning, and he was a 1,500 yard rusher last year. And this year, he is going to have to be more of a workhorse this year, as Carolina doesn't really have a whole bunch of backups. They do bring in Darlin Barlow from USC, and he should be a very good change of pace back. Carolina also has Caleb Hood, who can be more of a bruiser and also has some solid speed for his size. But Hampton is going to be the workhorse, and I think he has the potential to put up an outstanding season. One, if where Carolina was to compete for the college football playoff, he could end up in Heisman consideration. Now, the wild card for Hampton is going to be the offensive line, which we'll talk about later. But Hampton is primed for a giant season, and here's what I think his stat line is going to end up being at the end of the year. I think we're talking upwards of 1,500 yards, maybe even 1,600 yards. We're talking double digit touchdowns on the season. We're talking 5 yards per carry. That's the type of season I think Amarian Hampton is primed for. He's that talented of a running back, and he's going to be the guy in this backfield. He's going to be the guy that makes this offense go, and I feel like that he is primed for that job and that he will do a good job in that role. Let's move on to the wide receivers and the tight ends. Now, this group is a very talented group. Here, the staff is recruited quite well for in this group. They only lose Tez Walker and Kamari Morales, that were important pieces last year, and you might be thinking, "Oh no, we lose Tez Walker. That's a huge loss." But when you look back at it, first off, he was only available for half the year, and then secondly, he was only one guy, and while his production was solid, it's replaceable. Carolina also gets Kobe Paysour back from injury. He was out for the year after only a couple games last year. And the top 7 of 8 in production return, with obviously Walker being the one that Carolina loses. Morales was more of a blocking and red zone tight end anyway. And Carolina also has Bryson Nesbitt and John Copenhaver, both very solid receiving and blocking tight ends. So the tight end room will not be hurting. They also bring in Jake Johnson from Texas A&M. So Carolina is very much set at this unit. Here's my top three in terms of production by the end of the year. I think Pacor is going to be the number one guy in this room. I think he's going to be a very big time security blanket for whichever QB wins the battle. And I also think Bryson Nesbitt's going to be the red zone guy. So he's going to be the guy that leads in touchdowns this year. He's a big target, 6'6", 6'7", whatever his height is, and he is going to be the guy that the quarterback turns to in the red zone, as I just mentioned. And I also think J.J. Jones is primed for a big year. With that, he also has a bigger body. He'll be more of a deep threat. Also, one that the quarterbacks can just throw to when they need that quick completion. And here is I am going to look at somebody that could surprise, and this is a take that I have. I really like this guy, true freshman Jordan Shipp. He's a top-rated recruit that Carolina brought in this class. He was spoken highly of in the spring. I think he could be getting a lot more playing time than we may have originally thought, and I feel like he could surprise in this unit. Turning to the O line, and this group was completely remade over the offseason. They brought in a total of 4 transfers. They have 1 returning starter coming back. They have 59 career starts returning. With the transfers, they're going to be solid. They've got they've got several experienced transfers coming in. Also, Willie Lampkin, the returning starter. So they're going to hold their own. And also, I trust Mac Brown. He said that they will be better than expected. So I'm expecting them to be better than expected. And that's why I gave Hampton the stat line projection that I did, is because I think this offensive line is going to be able to block for him. I think they should be able to hold up good enough in pass protection for the quarterbacks to be able to do their job. They won't be spectacular, but they will be a very solid, very firm group. Let's look at my overall offensive analysis to close out this episode. Carolina does not have a clear-cut starter at QB. They probably won't until probably not even the first week. So, the quarterback battle could even last into the season. Overall, though, this is a group with a lot of talent, a lot of experience, and frankly, it's just a group that I expect to perform. Last year, they put up 34 points per 0.5 points per game and 491 yards per game. I'm expecting a slight dip just because of the QB situation. There's some uncertainty in that room. I think that could end up hurting the overall numbers. So I'm expecting the dip in overall production, but this should still be a very solid group. I'm going to go with a final projection of 32 points per game and 350 yards per game for my production projection for this offense. Thank you guys for watching this show. We've had a couple of really good episodes in terms of views. Thank you guys for that. Thank you to all my subscribers. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It's really helping me out. I really appreciate it. Also, drop a comment. I'd love to chat with you guys in the comments and be able to interact with you guys and talk some Tar Heels. That's what I'm here for. So like and subscribe on this video, and I will see you guys next week.